Hey everybody, it's Bust. Battles with Bust number 597. Today we'll be doing battle with the Berserker and backpack battles. And so this will be our second set of battles on this new everybody gets a fresh bag patch. I've tanked almost 100 LP up to this point, so we're doing good and having a lot of success. Let's see if we can't turn that around just a little bit here today. And so continuing on our week with the Berserker using this utility bag, let's see what turns up. I guess it's a reasonable enough set. Like the things I've really kind of wanted at the start of all of these Berserker builds is just the short sword, the wooden sword, so you can take it and then immediately upgrade it into a torch off the lump of coal. Otherwise, it always just feels kind of awkward trying to figure out what weapon I want in the early game. It's weird in the sense that, like, when we had the utility hammer using the other bag, I know it's like a shitty weapon, but it always felt like you had something. It felt like you had something to come out here and strike with. But now that you have to pick up a weapon, it shouldn't feel that different, right? It's not like the utility hammer was actually a good weapon. It dealt like 1 DPS. It just feels different without actually having access to it in the beginning and being in this spot to where you can realistically come out of the first round and just not have any DPS. And so it's strange to see it turn up that way. But the thing we will be taking here is the broom. We'll pick up the wooden buckler. We do tend to run out of space with this style of start. If memory serves, you can make all of this fit. I thought I thought I did this before. Maybe it's the shield and the belt that don't fit together, or the shield and the broom that don't fit together with this bag, and I guess that's how it is. That doesn't seem like it should be right, but I got a lot of brain issues these days with this baby just sapping all my sapping all my mental powers away. And so maybe this was my pain point, was not being able to start with the buckler and the broom at the same time. I mean, that's what it seems to be happening here. But otherwise, it's a reasonable enough start. I think I'm just going to grab everything. As far as this bag goes, I have wanted to be getting a lot more sockets and getting sockets dealt with, as we do find ourselves basically looking for one big weapon. I don't usually go for multi-weapon builds unless it's a mana build, and so if we're looking for a single weapon, I do like picking up the oil lamps, then having the oil lamps turn these lump of coals into the mage coal, but then you don't need to search up a bunch of like gemstone boxes to fill up the sockets of your weapons. And so we'll see if that comes together. I think I'm right on this wooden buckler just not fitting in here with the broom. And so, whew, makes you just feel like a dum-dum. But alright, up against looks like a guy making a torch and a broom. He's got the singular banana. Everybody hits battle rage at the same time, so it's a little bit more challenging to see who's ahead. But it's the opponent. He outdid us. He outboomed us. Sad day for us. And what can we do? And so here, I've been much more interested in Goobert starts with the Berserker. I will say, what I think is probably just the best item to be going for out of this new patch with the utility belt is going to be the wolf emblem. I like essentially everything that this does. If we're looking to just build towards one big weapon, we need to give it crit, right? If we're having that big super weapon attacking slow, dealing big damage, we can't run in the situation to where it just doesn't have crit on it. Now, there's different ways to get it right. You can get the brass knuckles striking to give it additional crit. The wolf emblem can give it crit with the base of 10 and the additional with the pets, and then you can also generate the crit rune off the shaman mask. But however you get there, at the end of the day, you have to do it. You can't just have a big busted blade or a big double axe and not having them crit over and over and over again. And so what I think is the most effective way to go about it, even though we've been tanking so much LP, is to go with the wolf emblem. And so as we do find additional pets to kind of help out with the crit, we'll take it where we can. And so if we find a Goobert early, I think that's kind of telling. I do like having access to Wulpentingers to have a better like stamina drain, or I've been actually picking up a lot of Jinx tortillas throughout these builds. I wouldn't pick up the tortilla in the previous patches, but now I think getting that additional attack speed and getting that additional pet target are quite good. And so worthwhile to note there. Otherwise, It is interesting with the wolf emblem that it can occasionally generate empowered. So I'm curious how that plays out in this patch because one of the things I tried to kind of highlight with the differences between the bags and the battle rages is with the old battle rage you had the potential to hit very late in the game, and so if you're hitting like a +1 or a +2 empowered 20 seconds into the battle, that doesn't really add a lot to what you're doing. You don't get a lot of opportunity to take advantage of those bonuses. But with something like the Wolf Emblem and now hitting Battle Rage 5 seconds in, if it's going to be a 20-second battle, then you now get these empowereds for 75% of the battle, to where in the past you might have only been getting it 25%. And so it's very interesting the way that this can now pop, especially if you have the Dragon Scale armor, which you hit Battle Rage, the Dragon Scale armor gives you a bunch of armor, and then you can Wolf Emblem a bunch of empowereds. And so I haven't been as happy with the Dragon Scale armor this patch, but there are some synergies that can come out of it that way as well. So long story short, we're going to take this Goobert. I'm interested in the wooden sword as well. I do want to turn that into a torch. And then we need to find a bag coming out of this. Here comes the leather bag, so that'll work just fine. Gonna sell off this wooden buckler. We just got to get more bag space at this point to pay off with these things. Now, one thing I mentioned in the previous video that we could probably put into practice here is you don't necessarily have to put the weapons within the bag, right? Getting this 30% slower activation is not something that's going to work particularly well with the Goobert, right? The Goobert wants us getting as many activations as we can, and so we can look to leave our weapons or our activators outside of the bag. And so we will get the wooden sword outside. Definitely want it upgrading to the torch, but then to the left we'll just kind of move away from the broom. Can't quite fit the stuff we want. You can't get all of the weapons outside of the bag, but something that we'll look towards here as we progress on. Okay, hopefully we're okay this round. I worry about getting into a late game battle against a thorn whip with him just generating a bunch of thorns. Looks like we dropped down to like 2 health and sustained right through it, and so that was a little scary. So, okay, so what are we going to do here? I have been making a lot of shovels with the Berserker these days. I'm not excited about it, but it is something that I've been doing. We have the pan and to broom here, which we can certainly carry on with. Otherwise, there is the axe, the makings of the big double axe, which I don't particularly like. I just don't think it's a very strong late game weapon, and you kind of need a lot to go right to get the axe up and running, and so I think I want to just kind of ignore it at this point. I still don't feel like, you know, we really have to tie into a big busted blade style of build at this point, and so I'm just going to let this thing go. Let the banana go as well. At this point we need to find a bag. We found a bag, good job. Could pick up this other lump of coal. It doesn't really help us get to the ends that we're looking for, though. At this point, I'd rather find another bag, which I don't think we'll get off of a roll. I think we need 2 rolls to find a bag, but I wouldn't be opposed to finding another food to go with this. Okay, and here they turn up. We got the garlics, we got the blueberries, and then a leather armor that we could potentially use in the next round. So let's see, how do we want to go about this stuff? I was thinking of rearranging something like this. I want to get away from having the broom as our Goobert activator, so I guess we need to push it over to the left, something like this. Then I'm going to either pick up the blueberries or the garlic. I would prefer the blueberries here, I think. I'm still not opposed to potentially building towards a mana-based build. I still think that those are probably the best thing that you can be doing, even though the bag does absolutely nothing to synergize for it, and so we'll add that in. So last thing here is, do we want this leather armor? I'm still kind of up in the air with this. Like, my thing with it in the previous video is if you're looking to, you know, take full advantage of the utility pouch and use all of its abilities, you want to be making big usage out of this 25% lifesteal, but it's very easy to get like 5 seconds into the battle and not really lose any health. And so then once you activate the armor on the dragon scale thing, you just Like, you don't get to use all of the life gain off of the battle rage, and then once it's over, you just didn't use one of your abilities. But I don't think that that's really the best analysis of what's going on there. You do tend to take some damage within the first 5 seconds of the battle, and so I think I need to continue to evaluate the leather armors. I still do like the things like the boots and the gloves much better with the 5-second bag as opposed to the older 50% health bag, but I have liked the dragon scale armor a little bit less. Let's go in and just go ahead and lock that in. We'll see if we can't find a bag for it in the next round. Okay. Up against the old crit ranger. See if we can't survive through this. Man, I used to just gauge so many of the older battles on when the battle rage hit. It's so strange to me now trying to figure out what's happening when that thing pops. All right, though, interesting stuff here. We have been sitting on this whetstone that I don't really want. And now you can see we've got whetstone already in the bag, an on sale whetstone, and a wooden sword. So we can potentially come out and make the hero sword coming off of this and then turn the Goobert into the hero Goobert or the steel Goobert. I think I'm on board with that. The other kind of option here, I'm so tempted. I think we're gonna pass. Like, I know in the best and strongest parts of my brain that the hammer builds are just dog shit. But one of the things I was looking at in the previous video was, what if we go with the brass knuckles hammer build, and then we also have a hero sword, so that we have the hammer and we have the brass knuckles outside of the bag, but then we have the hero sword in the utility bag and upgrading the speeds on the hammer and on the brass knuckles. It's too much. I'm not going to go for it here. I am going to switch over to going for this this hero sword, though. We're going to sell off the broom, not using it anymore at this point. And then we do have the money for the leather armor. Let's see. Gotta make everything fit here. I guess, yeah, we're gonna have to put the sword up front if we want it to upgrade. I wanted to get the banana in this position here, but we're not gonna be able to upgrade the sword from the awkwardness of this bag. And so I think this is still fine. Let's jump in. It's not a bad looking build, so hopefully we can have some success this round. We'll definitely be much power spikier next round when we have the hero sword and we have the dragon scale armor to go along with it, but let's see. But see, this round kind of illustrated my well, I guess it was I was gonna say kind of illustrated my issue with the newer dragon scale armor, but I guess our armor was just filled up right at the beginning. Okay. Got our sword, Steel Goobert, coming online. We have to think a little bit in terms of how armor heavy this build is going to be. It is worth noting at this point that if we're looking to go for the Steel Goobert and we're looking to build a wolf emblem, we do have a couple of different ways to consistently generate armor. And so we are going to be looking for a bigger shield at some point, right? We definitely want to get the plus 30% bonus off of the Goobert and off of the pet item as well. And so we'll want to keep that in mind. I don't think there's anything like particularly special about a moon shield, but like it's not enough to force us to want to make a bunch of mana based items. But it is something that we're definitely going to get in this build, so we need to kind of keep that in the back of our heads. Otherwise, nothing too strong here. I guess we have to pick up the potion belt. We really need the bag space at this point. Everything else here we can pass on. And then another Goobert. what are the chances that we ever want two? I've never been a big fan of getting multiple Gooberts, but I mean, it's on sale, right? that's the easiest way to look at all these things. You just go, oh boy, but it's on sale. No, I think we'll skip past this. That's a little bit too much. There is a gloves of haste here that we'll add in, but I think it's a little bit too much trying to make it happen with the trying to make it happen with the additional Goobert. Okay, so maybe something like this. I want to get multiple activations off of the Gloves of Haste. And then if we come up this way, it's just going to mess up our bags. I don't think we're going to go Falcon Blade here. Right, we're almost there. That's right, we're one Gloves of Haste away from the Falcon Blade, but I think that's probably a that's probably off the table at this point. This looks much better though, right? I almost skipped on upgrading our Goobert, so we got our Hero Sword back in, and then that activated getting the blueberries between both bananas. So yeah, looks good. Whew. What do we got here? What's this guy doing? He's got a shovel. Not too intimidating. All right, neck and neck coming right out of the battle rage. Looks a little bit better for him in terms of buffs, but we got to kind of count on our Goobert to come out and do some work here. He's just not doing it. I guess he did have a lot more sustain than us with all of those foods. All right, but continuing on, continuing forward. Want the fanny pack. Now this is kind of interesting, right? There is a mana orb in here. We're not like really married to any particular weapon at this point. And so I could definitely see us looking to pick up the mana orb and then push over towards a mana-based build. Like, just because we have the Steel Goobert doesn't mean that we have to do anything in particular with a weapon. And so that's kind of interesting to me. There's also blueberries to go along with it. I think that we'll look to go down this path, but my concern here at this point is we've just been getting beat up on round after round, and we kind of need immediate upgrades. And the mana orb doesn't upgrade anything immediately. It actually just soaks up all of our money for the round and doesn't help us win anything, and then we don't even have the broom to upgrade it on a later round. And so I'm a bit concerned with that. We might need to let it go. I guess the kind of saving grace potential we have here is the pan, right? I want to get another attacky style of weapon for the round, and the pan does let us do that. Maybe we can take that to our advantage. So let's do this. Let's sell the lump of coal. We'll pick up the mana orb. We'll pick up the pan. The pan is kind of interesting in its ability to wrap the Steel Goobert here, so we can get it on the activator side and also get it on the scaling side. Can't do that with the torch, but I think that will hopefully help us out here just a little bit. Now we can move the banana into the dragon claws. Not getting a real strong wrap on this pan as far as the additional attack goes, but I guess we'll just have to count on the Goobert to keep the scaling up and running there. Okay, so there's a couple more activations off the mana orb. I don't think we'll get up to 35 mana on the round, but maybe there's a potential there. And then let's lock the blueberries in. If we're, I guess, going towards mana at this point, might as well keep the blueberries around as well. Okay. It's tough to tell. Like, we're scaling up a little bit. We've got our Goobert doing the work. I don't think he's going to deal enough damage to fight through our Goobert. We're starting to carry through this at the end. It's got that dumbass item, though. This thing makes me so mad. The Star of Courage. I just see it and just get mad. And so, congratulations on playing a random class instead of the one you want to play. You get the advantage up today. All right, has anything changed? Right, there is the fancy fencing rapier, which I'm still kind of on board with. This is a reasonably strong mid to late game item. You can use the fencing rapier just throughout the entirety of the game if you want. It does strike me as, you know, a little bit worse in the space of the bag that we have now, but I think it's okay. My concern here is, you know, we're not really locked into going on a mana build. And I'm just like worried the deeper in that we get, the harder it's going to be to find a broom. And then if we want to go for a broom build, assuming everything just goes perfectly, we roll, we find a broom, and then we get the the upgrade item two rounds from now. Like, it's going to take 2 full rounds to upgrade that broom into something useful, and I think that we just need to get away from it. And so the fancy fencing rapier is a nice pivot out. We can sell off the pan, we can sell off the mana orb, pick up the rapier, and then just have a very strong attack-based item behind. We can hang on to it until, say, like a busted blade turns up, and I'm not even certain that I'd want to get rid of this for the busted blade at this point, given that we aren't really stacked in on like socketed items. I think it would be okay, and it does get some potential bonuses through the pets. There's a pet that generates the clovers in a small sense, and so I think that that's where we want to be. Let's add that in. The one I'm kind of curious on now was the Jinx Tortilla. If we want to leave the Tortilla active, you know, if we want to save it for next round, or if it's just something to let go. It doesn't feel like we are in a place to super take advantage of the Tortilla. It still just feels like our build is kind of far behind. And so maybe we just leave it out at the moment. But how do we want to get set up here? Like, I think that I'm leaning towards just doing something like this if we can, right? To where we get the rapier activations within the steel Goobert. I was hoping that we would be able to, say, put the dragon claws on it as well, but I don't think our items are gonna play to that. So something like this. So far, we can get our foods activating out of the speed bag. We can get the banana up top, and then not a particularly compelling dragon claw here, but better than nothing, I guess. And then do we want to still just pick up these blueberries? It is nice that they help with some of these awkward positionings out of this utility pouch, and so, as we say, come in and move the dragon claws down here onto the rapier, and we have this L shape at the top. Then if we pick up an onion, you know, or something, we can get some decent activations out of it. I think it's still okay. Not amped about it, but maybe the clover generation will be relevant for the rapier. Do we want this lump of coal? There's only... I'm trying to think, like, if we're ever going to pivot away from the rapier. Like, the busted blade just doesn't sound that appealing. It feels like a little late to be picking up a chain whip. Like, I'm not opposed to using chain whips in these builds, but it does feel kind of late to be doing that. So maybe that's not the place to be. I guess the other kind of thing here is I am a little interested in maybe something like this, as to where, like, do we actually leave the rapier out? Like, I'm kind of curious if this isn't the better way to go about it, as to where we get it in the main bag. I mean, we gotta just probably... Oh, hang on. If it's in the main bag like that, we're not gonna get the bonuses. So we need it to be down a hex. Okay, maybe this is the place to be. Because I do want it to be getting the scaling off of the Goobert. Okay. So we need to be something like this. We'll have to be a bit awkward with our positioning. That might just be better all around. So we still have the same number of activations on the Goobert, because we weren't really counting on the torch to do anything, right? It was just doubled up anyways. So the dragon scale armor bringing the one activation to the Goobert, we appreciate it. But here we have the scaling rapier onto the Goobert. It's within the big bag. I like it. Making much better usage of the blueberries here. Okay. Feels good. Feels better. What do we got? Big ass collection of items coming out of this ranger. All right, got him at the end. That was a close one. I had some real concerns with that. So yeah, let's pick up the pack leader, I believe. Now the thing that's slightly awkward with the pack leader is, does this work? It's like we want it to be maybe like in a position like this. It's going to be a way getting it a way to work with the crit onto the item we care about, but then also activating with the Goobert. I guess we could put it in a place kind of like this. Move the rapier over 1 hex and then turn the torch down. Like turn the torch like this so that it keeps activating on the Goobert but also gets the crit. And then I think at the end of the day, we'll ideally have the pets activating the steel Goobert, right? My thing with the Gooberts is it makes sense to put weapons on them because weapons activate over and over and over again, right? A weapon is going to be much better than the dragon scale armor, but you do get stamina out, and then the stamina, when it completely drains, your weapons don't attack and don't activate the Goobert. So you do want things like food on the Goobert because these are going to activate over and over and over again, regardless of your stamina. And pets do kind of the same thing, as to where they can continuously activate without the worry of stamina. And so I think that this will be okay. Just got to get our bags sorted for a little bit. Let me put the dum-dum in the bag so that we get the we get the pets coming out on rolls. I think we have to take a potion belt. This is just like a must-find round in terms of bag space. So we'll add that one in. There's the busted blade, or the impractically large greatsword upgrades to the busted blade. I'm just a little concerned with it just being too late. And it also takes up 7 bag slots now, 9 bag slots in a moment. And so, I mean, we could just like sell off the fancy fencing rapier and pick it up, but I'm just like not convinced that we've done anything to really build towards it. It feels like we're fairly far away from this activating. Like I still haven't figured out how this works in terms of the new bag, right? If you remember in Legends of Runeterra, for those of you that have stuck around from the Legends of Runeterra days, if you remember like some of the cost reductions and then the settings that would be weird. And so if you had something that set a card's cost to 0, it would function differently with something like Stony Suppressor than a card that would reduce costs. And so I'm not entirely certain how the Greatsword works with the utility bag. We'll have to figure it out at some point this week. But, if weapons inside attack 30% slower, does it attack 30% slower of 2 seconds, right? So if it just, which timing overwrites the other one. If we're in Battle Rage, does the Greatsword just attack it at the 2-second cooldown, or is it 2 second plus 30%? I'm not entirely certain, but something we'll have to figure out. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sold on upgrading here. I mean, it is the item that you're quote unquote supposed to build with this bag, but we just haven't done anything to actually utilize it. That's tough. Alright, well. Oh, it's while you have 5 empowered. It's not while you're battle raged. So how much do we have to generate empowered at this point? We don't have access to any yellow potions. We do have the wolf emblem, but that's not a super likely way to go about it. We don't have any boots giving us a quick shot of empowered. I don't know. I'm just not really sold on it being good. We haven't done the work for it. I'm going to let that go. This is definitely the big decision of the battle here. I'm not certain what the answer is, but I think roll is the way to go. All right, so we've just got another bag, no pets turning up. I think we have to stop at that point. And so let's at least get things organized a little bit better. We were wanting to do something like this, to where we now have both of our weapons within the wolf emblem. The wolf emblem also activating off the Goobert. We need to find one more thing to put up here at the top if we can. Is it even worth dealing with? Probably not. Like giving up. Let's say we can move a blueberries over to get more activations. Maybe it's okay. It's just one activation on the banana that we're losing out on. Okay, all right, I guess. just make a sad noise, and that'll make everything better. Off to battle. All right, another Goobert bro dropping the debuffs on us. This is good as we only managed to get one empowered through the round there, even with all of our armor generation. Very interesting. Now we're just getting smashed by the buffs. Dang, our deeps were way too low. Alrighty though, let's make a sad noise and see if we can't upgrade somewhere. And so, don't want any of this stuff. The Gooberts coming out in full force is just not something we're able to take advantage of here. Got a stamina sack on sale. That sounds good. Gonna give up on the blueberries at this point, I think. Well, we can still hit at this point. I do like having the blueberries up in this one spot. As I say, it gives us 2 rolls to potentially find a 7 mana pet, and we found one here. So that's perfect. We're gonna have to mess with the bag a little bit. We have to set these over to the left to get the upgrades, and so it's gonna be a bit of a challenge to get the good usage out of this wolf emblem. Like I think that we'll be okay to just sell this torch at some point. And then we can maybe just flip the bags to get this up and running. I'm not certain how our stamina falls at this point. Is like I watched on the previous round. It seems like we had plenty of stamina to go, and so we didn't have to worry too much about like selling off this torch. But I know the fencing rapier is one that tends to drain your mana out pretty quick, and so maybe we should be. Maybe we should be selling off the torch. I'll try and keep a better monitor of it this round. This seems decent otherwise. Just get the dog onto the steel Goobert. That looks good. Our items to the top look good. I'll make a better watch of the stamina. I wish we could like roll backwards and see the previous round. I thought we stayed at like 4.5 stamina the entirety of the battle, but I'm not certain if that's factual. Jesus, just got blasted by the busted blade. Need to sustain up and be able to take another big hit. Okay, fought through that one reasonably, but let me monitor our stamina. I think it was okay. Like I'm almost wondering if we couldn't just add in another like fancy fencing rapier if we needed to. It seems like 4.2 is the lowest I've seen our stamina go. 3.4 in there at one point during Battle Rage. This seems to be as low as it's getting, and so there is some opportunity there. I guess maybe once we get the rapier all bagged up, we may not be as interested in our attack speed, but it seems like there's something there. All right, we got a speed bag. We got another dog. Let's see what we can do. About due for another rearrange. All right, well, this is probably a decent starting point. A slight bummer and not being able to get our dogs in good order around the Goobert, but I think this is okay at this point. The things I'm looking to kind of min-max here is I'd like to get additional usages out of this, out of our dragon scale gloves. Not seeing a great way to make it hit more than one. Right, so it's probably just going to be stuck something like this. The torch, I don't know. As long as the torch doesn't run out of run out our stamina. I don't think I really care about what's happening with it. Otherwise, we can do a little bit better cleanup in here, I think. Okay, so that should give us a little bit more activations in here. Still just one banana hanging out. That's fine, I think. Okay, are we getting okay with this? We're happy with where this is going? I think so. So at this point, we just want more dogs. We need to find a... I'd still like to find a shield. Our defenses are kind of meh at this point, so we should find a helmet. We should find a shield, but otherwise, just adding in dogs is all we really need to do at this point. I think it's about as good as it's going to get out here. Got here the upgraded stone golem coming at us. Saw this. I had to take pause. I saw him get to like half health, and I was like, "All right, taking him down pretty easy." And then it was like the round wasn't ending, and I was like, "I'm so glad I didn't say anything." But we got there at the end of the day. Good stuff. Definitely want to start adding in spiked collars. We'll take all of these that we see. Getting that battle rage bonus is definitely on point. Don't need the cheeses here. I do like the idea of cheeses with this utility pouch being a whenever we gain max health, it gives us more health that we can regenerate during this battle rage, but I think we're a little too far away from the cheese actually doing anything. If it was on sale, I would be kind of interested, but it seems a little bit off theme from what we need to do. And now the Shield of Valor turns up. Perfect. And so we are going to have to figure out how to get this Shield of Valor in. I think the ideal spot for it would be something like this. Up here to where its activations affect the Goobert. The Goobert's getting tagged in on the bonuses. We're not going to get the bonuses off of the wolf emblem, right? We're not going to be able to, say, put the wolf emblem here to where it activates off the item on the top and also activates off of our steel Goobert. I don't think rotating fixes anything. It could fix it, I guess. Is that the answer to all of our problems? Just turning keeping the bag kind of similar as is, but then using the wolf emblem. Is that it? Is that where we need to be? There's also an on sale Jinx tortilla and a protective purse. I don't want to forget about those, but maybe that's the way to do it. My concern as we look to make this big rotates, we're gonna want as many hexes of our attack speed. So the Goobert would need to be in a space kind of like this, way down here at the end, if we're going to get the speed bags and the utility pouch on the rapier. Okay. Then maybe we just put our armors. Okay, I think I feel good enough about this to where I can completely throw away all of our bags and not feel like I'm wasting everyone's time. All right, so we're gonna be in a space something like this. The Goobert goes here. We want the... Hang on. We would want the wolf. The wolf has to be in line with the rapier. That's not going to work. Okay. Okay. It seemed like there was something there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I'm not gonna take the time to figure that out. But let's get him back in that spot that we had. And we want to get the shields like in this exact spot. And so let's do this. Let's put the reserve on the tortilla. Then we can look to take the small bag, get the steel Goobert and the Shield of Valor. Fairly easy rotate on the dragon scale to get within the shield. We can get the power pup in a spot like this to where it activates on the shield as well. Okay, okay, that's something. Got both attacky both attacky items within the wolf emblem. That looks good. Probably need to like eventually shift our bags over so we're not completely losing out on what the wolf emblem brings. Yeah, we're getting places. We're doing stuff. I like where that's headed. Otherwise, what else can we do with this space? We still have these dragon's claws. Probably rather get these. We don't have the space for it at the moment, but here, maybe we can do this. Oh, I thought we were gonna get. Oh, hang on. This is what I had in mind. We can do this if we want. We lose out on some of this attack speed off of the blueberries, but it frees up this entire bag. Maybe we just fall back to putting the blueberries back this way, but I think this is okay. The dragon claws on the rapier still. I was looking to potentially move the dragon's claws here to the left and hit the attack dog, but I think this is fine. Okay, reserve on the tortilla. Lots of activators on the Goobert. The Shield of Valor on the Goobert, on the scale, onto the Power Pup. Not on the wolf emblem, but that's okay. I like it. Let's move on. Okay. Up against the old Resurrection Pyromancer. Hit through one. It's not bad. Our health is sustaining. Zinged him. Good job, Bust. So, okay, yeah, let's pick up the tortilla. We should be able to get some decent activations out of it. Hopefully there's a good spot for it down here to where it can activate onto our weapon and still be collecting some of these bonuses, but good stuff there. Let's add him in. Bag, definitely want. Here is a cap of resilience. We do need to like actually pay attention to armor-based things. I think that we'll want to add the cap in as well. I don't think we've had, stamina problems this game. I think we can probably sell off the banana and pick up the cap. Not certain as far as our bag space goes, how we're going to make that fit, but I think this is okay. Now here, we can do something like this. Got the tortilla in the bags. It's hitting the weapon mainly, and also one of the other dogs while picking up crit off of the wolf emblem. I think that looks okay. Ever trying harder and harder to find reasons to hang on to this torch. I'm fairly tempted to just sell it. It doesn't do a ton at this point. It's a really low DPS item. All right, we'll just go ahead and do something like this. I know it's not here. Maybe I don't want to give up on the crit on the dog though. I'd rather be picking up the crit as opposed to the dog itself having crit. So let's do that. So we should be getting plus 10 and then another 48 off of the pet. So we should have 58% crit like this. Okay, I'm on board. Blueberries can come in, sure. Battle on. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. How many of you old fucks know what that simple quote is from? I watched Wayne's World recently, like recently being within the past year. I've never been like a huge fan of Wayne's World. It's just kind of it's one of those Saturday Night Live movies to where it feels like they had maybe like 5 good ideas. They had like 5 bits, but they didn't have enough for a whole movie, and it just kind of like falls apart halfway through. But it still carries a bit of humor involved with it. That also reminded me, there's everybody likes to shit on who is the explosion guy? Like I can't remember his name. He's made so much money in his lifetime. I can't remember. It's like he was the biggest action guy in like the 2000s, and like his thing was, I can't remember his name, it's gonna bother me, but like his thing was he would just basically go to a movie with like 5 big explosions that he wanted to make, and then everything else he was just like, yeah, I don't fucking care. And so it was like people would make fun of him for the lack of plot and the lack of I don't know, real cinematic chops, if you will. But like that's not what he was about. He was like, look, the studio is going to give me $200 million to make this movie. I'm going to make like $150 million of really fucking cool explosions and love every minute of it. The rest of the movie, I just don't care about what happens. And it's like I can come back and respect that. I think you got a good plan going on there. But I don't know. He's not out here writing Citizen Kane Part 2, and so we gotta we gotta shit on him because he's not winning the Oscar for Best Picture. All right, let's focus back in though. And so let's see what we can do here. We did lose that last round. I guess we might want to get some more damage back in with the torch, but doesn't feel like that was the problem. I think our kind of scaling attack power is the problem here. The steel Goobert just isn't enough, and we probably needed to find some torches, but I don't think we've seen an oil lamp throughout the course of this battle. But nonetheless, let's pick up the stamina sack, start taking some rolls. Courage Puppy immediately turns up. You got to appreciate that, and so let's get him up and running as well. I think there's got to be a way. We'll come back to that other side of our bag. Got to get the other dogs up and running. That looks good. We can just freely move this bag, right? It doesn't matter where the cap of resilience is. So that should be better. That's a little bit better usage of our money. I do want to lock in the other spiked collar out here, but you know, it seems like the build is kind of up and running. We just have to see how it goes from here. Can we ever move this tortilla? Like it is much better. Well, I'm gonna say it's like I want to keep moving it over to get all of the dogs involved, but it probably realistically needs to be in a space like this, to where it hits the multiple pups and it hits the weapon. We got to give up on a lot of attack speed to pull that off, though. Like that's my main concern here with this rapier is if we're not dealing enough damage, we can't be giving up on the attack speed from it. And so, okay, we can stay like this. All right, Thorn Bro coming at us. Battle Rage hits. Health gain doing absolutely nothing. Got a it picked itself up at the end. At the beginning of the Battle Rage, it was doing absolutely nothing, but it found a bit of worth towards the end. All right, so Spiked Collar definitely want. Take a roll. Probably need to pick up the Stamina Sack. We're running out of space, and then nothing really left for us to do out here. We'll go ahead and pick up the dagger. I guess that's kind of free, but it's not really adding to the ends that we're looking for. I wonder if we need to just pick up the gen lamp. We need this kind of scaling. This is what the problem points with our build at this point. We don't have late game armors, right? We don't have an upgraded Cap of Resilience. We don't have an upgraded Shield of Valor. That kind of sucks. And then we don't have scaling on our weapon. Oil Lamp is typically the way that we get that scaling. We get a little bit of it out of the Steel Goobert, but it's not a ton. And so I worry about our Fancy Fencing Rapier being able to deal enough damage. And so getting that 27 damage boost out of the Gen Lamp is good, but I don't think we have the stat generation to use it. I don't think this thing will ever activate. And so I'm gonna leave it locked. Like I readily admit that is the exact kind of item that we need right now to make our build work, but we don't have the. You can watch our buffs; they're nowhere near being able to activate that thing with the 7777 across the board. All right, but taking them down at the end, the big money round here, huh? The last heart to the survival round. Let's see what we can do. Let's see where this can go. And so, as I do like to say at this point of the battle, I don't think our build is good enough to hit the survival rounds, right? If we were at the point to where we had, say, 2 oil lamps on our fencing rapier, and all we were adding to our build at this point was additional dogs and then like looking for upgrades, like looking for mana orb for the shield, looking for um, the purple gem thing for the helmet. Like, I think you could carry it to the survival round. I don't think we're strong enough to get there. And so with the upgrades that we need, I am going to continue to roll, but be looking more towards um, short-term, like high-powered boost kind of things. And so let's pick up the potion belt. We'll pick up this stone skin potion. I know there was a stone skin potion earlier that maybe we should have picked up, but didn't do it. But we'll see where this takes us. Otherwise, if we are going to look to continue on, here's an oil lamp and a spiked collar to help carry us through. But I think the battle should be done at this point right here, right now. Let's see what turns up. Cards and flames. I don't know if it looks like garbage or if we're just going to get annihilated. It looks like annihilated is the answer that hit here. He hit that. That's so weird. Like, I talk quite a bit about half-assing builds. I don't know if are the Charizards just that good. Maybe he just hit the cards and went double Charizard and quit. What does this do? Deal 12. It's just a way to quickly gain 4. I don't know. He picked up that mana so fast. But at the end of the day, very reasonable take on this build. I think that, this is what we're going to commonly see coming out of these utility belt bags. And it's just going to be a matter of kind of filling out the details. I think this is a fairly decent way to go about it, as to where we're asking the right questions and then just trying to figure out the right answers to them. And so, like, the thing that we want for these utility belt builds, I think that we want, one big high-powered item. Be it the fancy fencing rapier, be it the busted blade is the big one, be it the double axe, chain whip, whatever. I think you're going to be looking for one big item to take advantage of all of that extra attack damage. And then with that attack damage, you have to have crit. You have to have some way to get a bunch of critical strike onto your weapons, because you can't just get so super invested in that big hit with the slower attack speed, the higher attack damage, and then just have it not be a critical attack. And so I think that this wolf emblem thing is the way that we're frequently going to see these. Although there are other tie-ins, right? You can look towards the brass knuckles. The brass knuckles, as we mentioned a few times, you don't have to put in the utility bag. You can leave them outside of the bag and still gain the regular speed on hit bonuses. So that's a potential thing to look towards. You can look towards the runes as well, and the shaman mask, and getting crit off of the hawk rune, I believe it is, but that's very RNG heavy, and it only works towards one weapon. And so that would be another thing as well. But I think that, again, I'm not really perfectly nailing the details on these builds, but I think the ideas that we have are quite strong, and what we would see being good with this once we get a little bit more games under our belt. And so again, with this build, with this game in particular, I'm not certain if we should have gone for that busted blade or not. We had the opportunity to come in and pick one up and didn't do it. I feel like that was probably the big decision made throughout this game that I'm not certain what the correct answer is. But I think the process is good here, and we're getting built up to have a little bit more success, although we're still out here just tanking LP left and right. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.